Good afternoon. Excuse me. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua and I'm going to be your presenter today. Hope everybody can hear me okay. It's 12 p.m. Eastern Time on this Thursday, the 16th of November. Welcome to everyone. We're here to talk about entering the new year, next year's budget in Church Windows Accounting. Before we get started on our topic at hand here, first of all, the entering the budget in Church Windows Accounting is found in our workbook A201 for accounting on pages 2 through 6. So if you have that, that's what I'm using as the basis for the event today, primarily. The budget entry process is the same whether you're opening a new year or you're beginning to use Church Windows for the very first time. So before we get started on that, anyway, if you don't have the workbook, of course, you can go ahead online to our workbook workbook page on the website and purchase that and download the PDF if you wish. I think they're $12 each, very affordable. And you can use that again, what I'm using as the guideline for the event today. Before we get started though, on your sidebar of your control panel there for the webinar, click the little red arrow in order to minimize the control panel, get it out of your way. If you have questions for me, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I'll try to keep an eye on those and see what we can't do to get those answered during the event. If not during the event, then I'll certainly be happy to stick around and get those answered at the very end. Please keep the questions on topic here, folks, about the budget entry process or the budgeting. Yeah, I'm not prepared either in my data or in necessarily my thinking or material here to necessarily answer questions about anything else. If it's not I don't want to answer it frequently, I just simply sometimes can't, or I may need more information from you. Sometimes calls are best answered, or any questions are best answered through support calls as well. Let's go ahead and get started here. First of all, I also want to show that if we go to our website, churchwindows.com, go to Support Center, we are recording today's event. But if I go to the Support Center, I believe we already have a video on entering the budget out here. We will get this video up on our website here at some point as well. But yeah, that'll probably be into next week before that occurs. Yeah, so right here under the Support Center, we've got Accounting New Year's Budget 17 or newer. It was recorded in a previous year, probably 2016 or 17, something like that, or 15 or 16. But basically it's the same topic that we're covering today. So you can always go back and revisit that if necessary. Okay? All right. Let's get back to Church Windows. Okay. So as we're opening accounting here, the topic in itself is, New Year budget. Okay? So we're talking about, in this case, 2018. We're on a calendar year in Church Windows Accounting, January through December. Whatever the first month of your accounting year is, you consider that year January. Okay? In this case, we're working on a calendar year starting in December. So we're here talking about then entering the budget for the accounting year starting January of 2018. Now, we're not going to get into this in enormous detail, but I can't enter, of course, a budget for an accounting year that doesn't exist. So in order for me to enter the budget for 2018, I've got to open that accounting year. Okay? And so a lot of folks are going, oh, well, I'm not done with 2017 yet, is maybe what you're thinking. Well, the thing to keep in mind about Church Windows, folks, is you can go ahead and open the next accounting year anytime you wish. Okay, I know we've had folks who've had 2018 accounting year open for weeks, perhaps even months in some cases. They're not posting in the new year. They're just entering their budget amounts. They're reworking their chart of accounts, deleting and cleaning up their chart of accounts. Basically, just preparing for the new year without actually working in it. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go through it once. There is an opening or end of year procedure document, folks, on the website and a video We will be having other webinars on opening a new accounting year in detail in future, but there is other information available for that. So we go to Special Functions, and then we go to Manage Years, and right here it says Set Up New Accounting Year. So we click on that. Notice now at the very top it pops up and says the button next to Create Next Accounting Year, January through December 2018. By default, it's going to want to copy the chart of accounts from the prior year, and it will copy the budget amounts. Okay? That's why this is important, and why I'm going through this here the once is because the system will allow you to copy the budget from your prior accounting year if you wish. And why I believe this is important is, how I tell folks on my support calls about it is, I say, okay, I would generally copy the budget, because unless we know that the entire budget is going to change, let's say only a percentage of your account's budgets change and the others don't, you've just saved yourself that work, okay? If your entire budget's going to change, then, you have to decide, do I want to copy my budget amounts or not, or budgets from the prior year or not? How I will sell you is if you do, and the accounts remain the same, but the budget amounts change, you still have kind of helped yourself, save yourself some time by not having to reselect those budgeted accounts. The system already has most of them checked. So I'm always in favor of saying I'm going to copy my budget amounts there because I can always change them, okay, or end them or what have you. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So then I click OK through that. It then says, creating new accounting year. And when that's done here, notice to the upper right, it now says January through December 2018. Okay, so that new accounting year is now open. All right. To enter my budget, I would go up to Budgets here at the top left, and in the upper left corner, Budget. So Budget across the top, and right up here in the upper left corner, Budget, right here. So that's where I would click in there to actually view or edit my budget as it exists. So when I click on the Budget button, it opens up my budget window. I'm going to make the window just a little bit larger here, make it a little bit longer. We see, it's our budgets window, of course. Let me grab my highlighter again. We see some accounts right here that already have the check mark in the budgeted column. Okay? Those are budgeted accounts that I did copy forward or brought forward from my 2017 accounting year. It's highlighting my total income subtotal, and therefore it does show the annual budget, the quarterly, and the monthly for those that were brought forward from the prior year. Okay? System just does that automatically. Okay? So, to enter a budget for an account, so let's say I've got I want to enter a budget for my, wedding income. So right here I've got my wedding income account. Everybody should see that now highlighted. If I want, notice it's not a budgeted account currently. If I want it to be there's nothing over here on the right-hand side that allows me to enter that. But as soon as I put a check mark in the budgeted box, boom, over on the right-hand side, it does reveal my annual, quarterly, or monthly budget location where I can key in the budget. So the wedding income is actually a really great one, okay? And the reason is, and you'll see shortly why that winds up proving to be a pretty great choice for an account to choose for this. If we enter an annual budget, so let's say the church receives, $12,000 in wedding income throughout the year, I would just click in the amount under annual, type in 12,000, and then notice when I click on the actual word annual, it does auto-distribute it across both quarterly and monthly below. Okay? Well, yes, weddings do occur year-round, but probably the bulk of the weddings occur maybe in warmer weather. We know spring and summer, summer and fall maybe, so maybe we won't enter that. So we want to have a little more control over that budget entry process. So what we can do here is we could clear out the annual budget if we wish. You don't even have to do that. But I could jump down here now to quarterly, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to put 6,000 in our second and third quarters, respectively. So that would be from April 1st to September 30th. Okay? And now notice that when I do that, it does then auto-distribute it across each of those 6 individual months, again, April through September at $2,000 a month. Okay? And so, again, you've got pretty much full control here. Budget amounts for folks are entered in whole dollars only. The system doesn't permit us to enter down to the cent level, so cents cannot be entered. It's only whole dollars. And if I even want further granular control than that, I can come in here and I could just jump down to monthly, and I can go, okay, well, we have $1,000 in April and $2,000 worth of wedding income in May and $3,000 in June, and I have literally full monthly control for how I enter these amounts if I wish, okay? But what I hope everyone's been noticing here also is that at the very top, even though I've been entering them as in quarterly or monthly in this case, it is still totaling to my annual $12,000 total. Okay? And another one of these, so again, you really do have pretty much full control here over how and where and how the budget itself is entered. Okay? So this is just one example of that. Another one would be, let's do like an insurance. So let's say we've got our property insurance that is a budgeted account, and here's just another example. It's already previously entered on this, is our property insurance is paid in April and October of every year. And so that's a perfect ideal use of the monthly budget entry process, where literally I can just enter those specific budget amounts in those particular months, not putting them in any others, and it reports perfectly. It still totals into annual or quarterly, but I can enter literally a budget in 1 month or a couple of months per year without entering it in any others. Okay? Again, only accounts that have the check mark in the budgeted column here, folks, in the center, the budgeted column right here, can be budgeted. Okay, if we don't put a check mark there, of course, we're telling the system it's not a budgeted account and the budget can't be entered. You can, of course, sort by account name here by simply checking the box at the bottom, as opposed to by defaulting to sort in account number order based on those subtotals. Okay? But again, just keep in mind you've got to get that new year open in order to record that. So we've talked about the even distribution over 12 months. There's one other thing I want to show about this here. So let's go back up to our wedding income again. So if, again, we go back to our annual, folks, let's say our budget amount or annual was entered as an uneven amount or an odd amount. So let's say we had budgeted it for $13,000 instead of $12,000 annually. Notice it is adjusting for the unbalanced dollar at the end of each quarter automatically. Okay? And it will oftentimes do that on the final month of the year, depending on what the actual budget amount is. If I could actually type in the amount that I'm wanting here. Oh, because I'm on monthly. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, so here notice it does try its best to make the adjustments under monthly and quarterly, but it will make that final adjustment in the final month or quarter of the year. Again, based on those amounts and how you have it distributed. We've talked about variable distribution by month as well as by quarter. And the final thing we want to talk about here with regards to budgeting is, and this is, frankly, folks, one of the most, I think, underutilized features in the software, is the feature called budget by subtotal. Okay? And I think this, again, is potentially very powerful for folks. A good example, so let's collapse down our income and jump down to our expenses here. So this is just a good example, and I've used it for a number of years here with regards to this. So we notice we've got our section of our accounts here called utilities, where we've got our telephone and internet and gas and electric and water. Each one of those are budgeted accounts with their own separate budget amounts entered on their respective accounts on the right-hand side. Okay, so when I click on telephone, it shows its budget. Internet, it has its budget, etc. Okay. We have the ability to budget for utilities collectively. So notice there's a checkbox to the right of total utilities. So if I say I want to budget for all of my utilities, the point of this is essentially that it doesn't matter quite so much how much I spend on each one of those separate expense accounts as much as it's about all of those accounts collectively. Okay, so if I now put a check mark in the total utilities subtotal, the arrow, it'll pop up with a message and say, this will remove budgets from subsidiary accounts and subtotals. Continue. So I'm going to say yes to that. And it takes a few seconds, but now notice it puts the check mark in the subtotal, removes the check mark from those specific accounts, and it does put all of the collective amounts of those budgets together here under the budget column for the subtotal. Okay? So, you're thinking maybe, what does that mean, Josh, per se? Well, essentially what it means is that, again, it's not so much how much is spent on any of my individual utility expense accounts as much as it is collectively all of them. So a particularly mild summer or cool summer could offset a particularly harsh winter, because if our electric bill is less in the summer and our gas bill is high in the winter, again, they might balance one another out, essentially. Okay? So again, this is a very frequently underused or unutilized feature, folks, and it might be something that might be very helpful and useful for you. Okay? It's less, again, accounts that go over budget aren't quite so important as much as how much have we expensed for all of our utilities collectively. Okay? Again, very powerful and very helpful. Okay, so that's it, folks, in terms of budgeting that new year, setting up that new year or budget period, whether it's the new year or any year. It's all dealt with or done the same way. I talked about what I'm going to talk about on the topic here, so let's see what questions we have. If I already created a new accounting year without budget, can I still do it, or is it too late? Yeah, there's not an option to recopy the budget amount over again after we've opened that new year. I'm sorry. That you can still, of course, go in and enter the budget amounts, but there's no way to recopy it from the prior year. I'm sorry. You'd have to go in and just re-enter those accounts and just keep an eye on that for the next accounting year. You're most welcome. Yeah, folks, and please, if you have questions, please type those into me now about that. I am going to point out real quick while folks are maybe doing that, if we go back to the Church Windows website, I want to just point out, if we go to supporting here, we've got the link here under the menu called New Year Prep and Help. So if we click on that, it brings up our New Year Prep and Help page where we have end of year documentation and videos from prior years or a prior year here. So I just want to point this out as you're preparing for that. Here's our end of year and New Year preparation documents on the left. And over here, our end of year and New Year prep videos on the right. So, here we've got emailing donation statements, donations, New Year setup, the videos, but down here, the right side, we've got all of the documents as well. So, if you're interested in the end of year procedure in more detail that I showed only that one time before, right here under accounting, it would be right here under accounting, New Year steps, either the document or the video, folks. So that'll go you through detail. It just will be on 17 or 16 or 17 instead of 18 on that, preparing for that. So, oh boy, got some more questions coming in here. All right, once you have set up a New Year budget, how do you add a new budgeted item? Okay, that's a good, reasonable question. Maybe I didn't cover that in as much detail as I should have. I'm sorry. So when we go back into our budget window, you simply find the account, using the search if necessary, or just scroll down the list and find it. And again, like right here, we've got our Education Building Fund contributions. It does not have a budget checkbox. I simply put a check mark in that. The budget location where I can enter the budget opens up on the right-hand side. I think, Barbara, I hope that answers the question. Thank you, Susan. I like to think I can hopefully bring out some new stuff for folks every year. Thank you. How do you add a new line item to the 2018 budget? Well, again, assuming that the account exists in your chart of accounts, folks, you just again find the account in our income or expense accounts. The income and expenses are the only ones that can be budgeted. But once you find it here, you simply highlight it. Again, no budget, annual, monthly, quarterly, or monthly appears on the right. That tells us the budgeted box is not checked. Once we click on that, then the budget place field opens up to the right to be able to enter that. But yes, I mean, it's possible, folks, that, if the account doesn't exist, this is why we recommend getting your new year open, is, if you need to, go into your accounts, income or expenses, and add those new income and expenses as needed. You'll probably hear that from folks. You'll probably be instructed to enter those new accounts as needed, from your budget, folks. Okay, let me see what else, if I've got anything in here. I think I covered everything. Covered all the questions. Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. Again, folks, we're going to get a recording of this particular event available out as soon as we can. We hope it's been helpful. Please visit the website and that New Year Prep and Help page for more information, or the support center. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. We hope it's been helpful for you, and we look forward to seeing you at another Church Windows webinar. How do you see the whole budget? Okay. That would be, Marcia, by going to Reports, Budget, choosing your budget report. In this case, 2018, say through 2018, unchecking amount or percent difference. Click Print. And here's my 2018 budget. Yeah. Well. Oh, the preview is just not up yet. Come on. Sorry, folks. It's taken a minute for this preview of this report to come up. I'm not sure why. Okay. Well, yeah, but it does. It will come up. It might be just the resources or something on the webinar here are taking up that time on that. Let me see if I can get that to close and try clicking on it again. I'm not sure why we're not able to see that budget report, folks. Let's maybe try a different accounting year. I can't see whether it would make any difference, but well, it might be taking a minute to compile it. Okay, well, that budget report will reveal the budget for the whole budget year, depending on which years you include. Okay, so again, no more other questions coming in. Okay, one more question. Once you open the new year, when you enter the accounting, you enter accounting, do you get an option what year you want to work in? Yeah, Ellen, that's determined by going up to here under special functions and manage years. You can do your change to another existing accounting year up there at the top to go back to revisit those other accounting years. But depending on your reports, you can generally run those from the report screen. You can just change the year there. You bet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar, everyone. We look forward to seeing you at another webinar event. Hope you have a great day. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.